Hello Internet, and welcome to the making of Genre Hopper. What is Genre Hopper, you may ask? Well, it's a game that me and Sean, Fishmug Games, worked on for the GMTK Game Jam 2020. So, the theme of the jam was out of control. We decided to go with a game where the genre is out of control. So it starts off in this kind of 2D platformer and randomly changes to another genre, in this case a sort of flappy clone type thing. Now we're in the space shooter mode. Now we're in a kind of top-down action-adventure sword 'em up thing, and we're back to platformer again. So obviously completely random. We made 7 different genres for the game in the end. Oh, this is the shooter, first-person shooter, I should say. This was a really cool project because we got to basically make lots of games. Oh, here's Pong. I'll touch on Pong in a minute. Sorry, it's kind of weird doing a commentary as it constantly changes genre. This is really cool because, it was kind of crazy that this was the theme we went with, because we kind of knew that it was going to be a little bit crazy making 7 different games in 48 hours effectively. But obviously, we did it with a certain amount of constraints. So you've got like one fixed level essentially. So we made this in Game Maker. In Game Maker you have rooms, and the room doesn't actually change, it's just the objects in the room that swap out. But this was also a core part of our idea, because we thought it would be interesting if rather than actually jumping between distinct levels, if the level itself stayed the same, as in like all of the objects in the level kind of retained their position, but then all of the rules essentially changed. So that's kind of what we tried to do with this. It led to some interesting challenges as we were making it. And there we go, there's the game over screen. And we also made a online leaderboard, and this is me reacting to the fact that there's a new top scorer on the leaderboard, and I've never been able to score anything close to that. So good job, LKB, whoever you are. Not sure if you're still the winner on our leaderboard, but good job. So how did we come up with the idea for Genre Hopper? Well, this is where I actually need to read mine and Sean's WhatsApp conversation, because it was all a bit of a blur, to be honest, but this will help to jog my memory as I play this B-roll footage for you. Yeah, basically, so like the theme goes out. The theme from the video from Mark went out. We spent a good couple of hours just brainstorming different ideas. I think the worst possible thing you can do in a game jam is to choose an idea really, really quick. I think you need to give it a couple of hours. So yeah, we had some weird ideas. First thing we were saying, how about a game that's out of control? It appears to be one thing, but the game doesn't want you to play it. This was coming from Sean. So we had an idea about like a game that fundamentally is like the structure itself is scattered, so that you'd have like a title screen, and you'd click play, and it would suddenly take you to a random spot halfway through the game, and then you'd complete that, and then you'd suddenly be in like a options menu controlling the volume, and the volume would then take you to the end of the level, or something like that. Something where the structure of the game is just completely fundamentally like shifted all over the place. But we thought that would be a little bit like too chaotic, so it wasn't really. But this was just kind of like where our like thought process went early on. This kind of like really kind of meta stuff. I think the first real idea that we latched onto for a while actually was this idea of like out of control being like a literal controller. So you'd have like a game within the game, and someone is trying to play that game, but then they lose their controller, and so the game is you trying to locate their controller in time before like something bad happens in the game, inside the game. So I don't know, I wonder if anyone has done anything close to that, because I do think that's an interesting idea, and I guess in the end, like, it would play out almost like a point-and-click adventure where you'd be trying to search a room to find the controller and plug it in as quickly as possible. But yeah, we didn't go for it in the end. I think, like, I don't think either of us really was too keen on doing a kind of point-and-click adventure type thing for this jam. Oh, this is interesting. So I found a sketch that Sean did of this idea. So you'd be like in front of the TV. Yeah. So I can see that it was about an hour in when we were starting to first float the idea for genre out of control. So it starts off as a side scroller, and then within the same room shifts into a top-down dungeon crawler. So what was once the ground is now the wall at the bottom of a room. Yeah. So I just love the idea of being able to kind of walk above where an enemy would be in the top-down mode, and then it would switch to the side-scroller and you'd fall down and land on their head. And that was kind of the idea, the thinking behind it all being in one room where the objects just kind of change. We were kind of hesitant for a while because we knew this was going to be like a lot of individual like gameplay styles to make. So I'm the one who has to write all the code, but then he's the one who has to do all the art. So, you know, it was a lot of work for both of us in the end. But I think we were quite, like, sensible with how we approached it, with not trying to kind of overdo it too much. And we actually, we completed the bulk of the work on Saturday. So Sunday was really just left to polishing, which is why I managed to cram in things like the high score leaderboard at the last minute. Yeah, another question people probably have for us is how many genre ideas did we have? Well, apparently at one point we had a list of 10. We didn't do a racing, we didn't do a turn-based battle, a text adventure, or a rhythm game. Again, yeah, I don't really know how those would have worked in time. I think it would have been very interesting if we tried to do something where the control method fundamentally shifts so that you're suddenly inputting commands or you're like pointing and clicking on things to move the player. I think it would have been a little bit too messy. But yeah, we definitely had ideas, but the 7 genres that we went with were the only ones that we like really put some time behind. I think we almost did a survival horror type one where you'd be like shining the torch on ghosts. Got as far as having like a couple of graphics for that, and I think the game over music was originally like the spooky horror music. So there's some random insight for you. So yeah, speaking of the music, we use a thing called Beatbox, which is a really cool little program that lets you make little quick kind of music files in the browser. Sean is really good at that, so between doing all the art, he was working on the kind of little music parodies that we could kind of throw into the levels, kind of making them as intentionally out of tune and kind of weird sounding as possible, just to, I don't know, we felt like it kind of fit the idea more if the music wasn't quite right, like if it was sort of just a bit off, kind of like this bootleg kind of idea. So yeah, I think we definitely enjoyed working on that. Obviously all the art as well that Sean did in a similar vein. Can't really comment on that because I can't draw, so I don't really know what his process was like, but he did a lot of work, he did a great job. Here's a very early mock-up of what the UI would look like. So we tried to make a lot of decisions about like sprite sizes, resolution, just kind of the technical details so that we don't have to worry about it later. And also it really helps for Sean doing the art if he kind of knows what kind of size he has to work with. So here's what the game looked like by the end of the first night. So I was just doing it myself in Game Maker, just writing code. So every time the box turns yellow, that's when it's in the top-down adventure mode. Every time it's white, it's in like the 2D platformer mode. So I'd done this really quick kind of almost concept demo type thing just to see what that would look like. So yeah, once we decided on the theme and we were fully on board with trying it, I think we were still apprehensive that it was gonna fall apart even by the end of the first day. And I think that's fine, honestly, for game jams. You can't expect to lock yourself completely into an idea even after like the first few hours have gone by. And I think it's important after that first. Well, first of all, make sure you get some sleep in a game jam. But like after that first night, I think it's a good point once you wake up to kind of reassess the idea and if you need to make any drastic changes because you realize like, oh, this isn't going to work, or like here's a better idea. I think that's the time. But we actually made a lot of progress on the Saturday morning, and that's when things started to come together. Oh, look, here's the title idea that came out on Saturday morning. Genre hopper, like channel hopping. And yeah, we were also thinking genre surfing, but I thought people might be disappointed that we didn't make a surfing game, so we went for genre hopper instead. So yeah, all of Saturday we were pretty much just burning through all the genres in the end. So I'd be kind of working on the code for the genre as Sean worked on the art, or I think he would be slightly ahead of me, so I'd have the art ready to go in and then I'd be writing the code for that genre. I think the one where I was able to catch up a bit again was with Pong, because obviously I didn't need any of his arts to make square boxes fly around the screen. Although, as I kind of alluded to, Pong was a little bit painful for me to make. I guess I anticipated, like, it's Pong, it's the simplest game ever, like surely it's an easy one to code from scratch if you haven't tried to make it before. And like obviously I kind of naively just like added some random logic for the collisions, and it didn't really work for a while, even into Sunday. And it's still not perfect, but I think we at least managed to create an approximation of Pong physics in the end. And yeah, the other challenge was making sure that it doesn't clip through walls, because we're fundamentally changing the way collisions work every time it goes to Pong. And it's still not perfect, but like hopefully no one's going to get stuck in any walls when they play the game. Some people complain that the crosshair in the first person shooter can't move through the walls, and well, that's kind of intentional because we don't want the player to get blocked if they're inside the wall when they change to a different genre. So we had a lot of things like that to think about. The stealth modes, that was also like an interesting one to work on. I do feel like one of the things that people bring up is that it's impossible to score points in the stealth mode, so I kind of wish I'd made it so that touching one of the enemies would have like had them die. Yeah, the idea of having the remote control come up as it cycles between the levels, and also the remote control is in a different art style, like not pixel art based, but closer to the kind of cartoony style we used in Presto Stato, our other game. I thought that would be an interesting way to like break the fourth wall a little bit, to make it look like someone's just flipping between the channels as they play a game. Here's another work in progress clip I found. So I guess this is when we had several of the genres built, but the art was still a work in progress. Yeah, we don't have the remote yet, but yeah, the bulk of the gameplay was kind of done by this point. I think this was like probably like Saturday afternoon or something like that. So the final day was polishing. We actually had time to do a few iterations on the graphics, which was great. Working on the menu system, the title screen, the high scores, the game over, all the kind of navigation and promotional stuff. So yeah, we had a lot to do, I guess, on the Sunday, but like the actual bulk of the hard stuff was done. And there's like a few little things I wish I'd had time to do, just a little bit more playtesting, and a few of the little quirks that some people have pointed out probably could have ironed out a little bit. But overall, I think we're really happy with how this turned out, and it's been great seeing the feedback of people who played it, and we couldn't really be happier with how it turned out. So please play it. So that is Genre Hopper. I hope you enjoyed this completely improvised behind the scenes look at the game. Thank you. Goodbye.